Good evening, everybody, and this is Nicky here in Marlborough, top of the South Island, from Ancients Best Yoga Marlborough, bringing you some lockdown inspiration. So some tips, talks, and upliftment. So today we have Rebecca Foster from Renwick, which is just really close to Blenheim. And I'm going to read you just a little bit about Rebecca. So she's a mum of three living in Renwick, which is just, 20 minutes from Blenheim. And she's been teaching yoga for nearly a decade. And I've probably known you, Rebecca, for close to that long too, for a fair few years now. Rebecca's involved with the next round of the Drew Yoga Teachers Training. So she's teaching students and working with up and coming new teachers in the Drew Yoga community. And most recently, she's also been teaching here in Blenheim, I think, at the Cancer Society. She has a personal practice exploring meditation, and she's really been very, very seriously getting more into her meditation practice in recent times. Rebecca really loves spending time in nature and goes up to the forest and the lakes and the mountains. And, you know, she really sees nature as being a wonderful teacher, which I totally agree with that sentiment. So, Rebecca, lovely to have you here. And how are you doing? We're in lockdown, but we're about to go to level 2. How's it been for you?
Thanks, Nikki. It's really nice to be here. Lockdown's been interesting. I've got a couple of teenagers, and then our youngest is 6, so quite an age gap there. So just kind of for me, and my husband's working from home. So I'm not myself working from home, but I'm tending to the family's needs. And that can get a little interesting sometimes.
Has it been tricky at times?
Yeah, I think, so 2 of my kids were quite sick before lockdown as well. So it sort of rolled from, I do have a background in nursing, by the way. So I kind of felt like I've been in this kind of extended nursing shift. Bit of illness before lockdown and then rolling in. And my youngest daughter, who's 6, she's really struggled. She's missing her friends. And, you know, she's an energetic 6-year-old. So trying to keep her a little bit quieter while hubby's working in the office, which is the spare room, and kids are on their Google Meets upstairs, you know, it can get a little bit claustrophobic actually. Sometimes.
Yeah. Do the kids all sort of manage to get on okay being cooped up together for that long?
Well, they're pretty good, and they've had some really fun moments, you know, but you would expect that a 6-year-old and a 16-year-old, boy and girl, are going to have times of, they're just not going to see eye to eye.
And how about for you?
Well, you know, like I was, you know, explaining earlier to you, it's, I sort of feel that it's been my responsibility to, as the parent, as you would expect, just hold the fort. And sometimes that gets, like, you yourself just feel like, you know, you want to
scream.
So having some little tips and tools and techniques to really allow myself to be more responsive than reactive is being key.
I think that's it definitely was part of the reason I wanted to put this together too, because I saw some people were really feeling, they were struggling, you know, there was quite a feeling of, some people were feeling very fragile, some were feeling really anxious and kind of almost like wanting to put their head in the sand. And it's just like, you know, how to reach out and sort of, they see some faces, see some smiles, share some practices that are really practical and they can do them. But not too long, something sort of not too challenging, because I really feel like people are overloaded. Like work is more demanding under lockdown, family's more demanding, people are tired. It's no holiday. Yeah.
Well, you're more sensitive to, you know, I think anyway, emotions can build and thoughts can come in and everything can feel a lot more dense because you're in a condensed environment. So looking after yourself in really practical ways. And I think because of my nursing background, I always am drawn to really practical tips, which is why I want to share the one I'm sharing today. Because I've been using it every day.
Great.
And we all lose it from time to time. You know, we all feel that vulnerability where we just want to scream into a pillow or something, or I don't know, just go for a run. But all of our normal routines that we might depend upon to help us stay mentally, you know, well and more harmonious may not be available to us.
Yeah. So some people have said that too, you know, those the sort of the regular activities that they do and the people that they see, and that gives some structure and stability around the life, and that's all just been taken away. So
and I think if, you know, no matter who you are, I think, you know, we might be experiencing I think about emotional storms coming through. It's a bit like, I think I've described it before, like living in Melbourne. You might have 4 seasons one day.
Yeah.
And that can be very disorientating. So, you know, if you're just trying to stay calm and do what you need to do, and that might be working on a computer, or it might be looking after your kids. It might be, you know, you might be worried about someone who's on their own.
Yeah.
There's so much that can be going on for people. And so I think being able to bring yourself into the present moment where you're not sort of trying to strategize about the future and worry about the future, or you're ruminating on what's happened in the past, that's a really helpful, the present moment is a really helpful place to be, to nurture yourself. But what does that actually mean? And how do you get there? Sometimes it's like,
because we don't spend a lot of time there. You know, we're often sort of somewhere else while we're going through our day, aren't we? We just sort of like, our mind is not with us all the time.
Yeah, it's like trying to reach for the rainbow. It's like, is it really there? You know. So the tool that I'm offering today, I feel, for me, my experience, is that it helps bring me into present moment and helps me where I am right now.
That's all there is.
So should we go into it?
Shall we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Okay. So so the tool that I'm offering today, it's a meditation technique, but it's a really cool one. It's called RAIN, RAIN. So that's an acronym, and R stands for recognize, A stands for allow, I investigate, and N nurture. And when you string all those components together, actually it can be very refreshing, like a rain. Yeah. And it can be very centering and calming. And what I find it helps is to just heighten your awareness of how you're feeling, what's going on in the mind, your thoughts. And really, I used the word disorientation before. I think we can often feel like that when we're in those states where where we're getting quite stressed. It reorientates you to the here and now, which you can actually have some participation in and control over.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that for a lot of people, it's the uncertainty that creates a lot of stress right now. Like, what is going to happen, and when can I do this, and all these things I planned that now postponed or cancelled, so I think we can't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't even know what's going to happen next minute. So let's come back to that present moment and look at what we do have and what we do know, and accept that and manage that right now. So I really like the idea of this practice.
And if I gave you a personal example of how I've used it, that might be helpful. It's 4:30 and tensions are brewing in the household. There's been a lot of time in front of the computer with Zooms and everything. And, people's energy builds up, and if they can't get out because it's raining or whatever, this energy kind of builds a bit like a fire. And then all of a sudden you've just got this chaos going on in the house. And I'm looking around me feeling a little bit like Kermit the Frog. So I take myself upstairs, and it doesn't matter where you go. You could take yourself outside. You could take yourself into the toilet, shut the door.
Yep. Lock it.
Lock it. And then you go through this process. And what I wanted to say was you can do this as a formal sitting practice if that's what you're into, or you can do it in a much more, should I say, economical way. I'm not sure if that's right, but you can do it like in 5 minutes, and they call that light rain.
Yeah. I get it.
So you're working through the same process, but you could even be standing at the kitchen sink and doing it. So the beginning part is just to it's helpful to close your eyes. So we might as well just start and go through it. So this is going to take about probably between 5 and 8 minutes.
Okay.
So if you just begin by noticing the breath, because the breath is always with us, so it's quite a nice way to bring yourself into your body, noticing your breath. And so this is where we begin to recognize what's happening right now. What's here? It might be thoughts that you're thinking. It might be an emotion that's on top for you right now. It might just be a sense of where you are, your physical surroundings. So the next part of rain is allowing. And this is just really bringing your attention even more deeply into what you've noticed, whether it's thoughts or emotions or sensations in the body, just really allowing it to be there. You might like to use the phrase "this too" or "hello," or just really welcoming in what's happening right now. There's a beautiful poem by Rumi called "The Guest House." This being human is a guest house, every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty all of its furniture, still treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So really just honouring what's here right now. You might even like to say something like, "I can hold this." So we're just creating that openness to the experience as it is right now. And the next part of rain is the eye, investigating. So it's just about inquiring a little more deeply into what we've noticed. We've noticed and recognised the thoughts, the emotions. We've allowed them to be there. Now we might investigate a little more, and perhaps there's a felt sense of what we're feeling, what we're thinking. We might notice emotions in the body as sensations, maybe a sense of pressure or a sense of being squeezed, or perhaps a feeling of aching or emptiness. Just allowing a light scan of the body and really feeling into an area of the body that might be speaking to you. And if you don't feel anything at all, that's okay as well. It might just be a sense of numbness. And perhaps you might ask yourself the question, what do I notice when I assume the facial expression and body posture that best reflect a feeling that I might be feeling, a thought that I might be having? Is there other emotions around that main emotion that I'm feeling? And then as we transition to the final part of rain, the nurturing, we might ask ourselves the questions, this part of me that's feeling this way or thinking these thoughts, what does it need right now? If this part of me that I'm recognizing could communicate, what would it express right now? Perhaps it might be a sense of anger or anxiety or sadness. And what would that part need? Support, protection, guidance, a friend, love. And as we enter into this last phase of rain, the nurturing, take some moments to breathe consciously. You might call in the wise aspect of yourself, or even a wise friend or relative or someone who you trust. And offer that love and acceptance, compassion and protection, whatever you need, offer that to yourself, or perhaps even imagine that this wise person or this good friend that you've called upon is there offering you that love, that support, whatever you need in that moment. And whilst you're doing this, you might even like to place your hand over your heart or your belly, or even hold one hand in the other hand and just offer yourself a physical gesture of support, whatever feels comfortable. And it might feel comfortable to do nothing at all, but just feeling into it and really offering that nurturing essence to yourself, or feeling it coming from that source that you trust. And as you rest in that place, that nurturing comfort, you might gently reflect on how you felt at the beginning of this practice and how you feel now. Noticing your breath, the sensation of the hand on the heart or on the belly, the warmth in your hands. Perhaps noticing those areas of the body where you may have felt tension earlier. Maybe that tension has subsided some. Just allowing yourself to take some moments to rest in the presence and heart space that has emerged, and relax and really let it fill you up. Get familiar with it, and if you're feeling some new or residual difficulty, just offer this your acknowledgement and care. Sometimes it's challenging to receive love, so just acknowledging that and being really gentle and kind to yourself. And when you feel ready, you can gently open your eyes. And welcome back.
Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Pleasure.
Feel like going to sleep now.
How did that feel?
Yeah, it was really nice. I think at the beginning I felt really like I was looking at myself sitting in my dining room in my house in the town, almost like looking from outside. And then at the end I felt just really looking more from inside, and then kind of not really being much difference, sort of just a quietness, I think.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
I think it's something that can encourage what you described, which may not be what you meant, but what I think I heard was that sense of observation of yourself, being sort of like a witness. And I know that's talked about quite a bit in meditation, is developing that witnessing presence. And sometimes that can seem like a very weird concept, because how do you watch yourself? But I feel this practice is a gentle introduction to that.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way in. It's very accessible. Like you say, you might feel this, you might not. It's just as it is, accept it. Accept whatever you're experiencing and you're feeling. And like you were also saying, it can be hard sometimes to give yourself love. So, a lot of people are very giving, very generous, very kind. But when it comes to themselves, sometimes they maybe don't feel they deserve it, or
and that's why it can be really, really helpful in that nurturing part of it to imagine how you could even imagine how you would treat someone, a friend who was going through a hard time. What would you say to them? How would you respond to them? And then imagine that they're there giving that to you.
That you would do it for someone else. So how about how that would feel to yourself? And I like what you say about being the witness, not being attached to those thoughts. Just noticing them, just accepting them, not being so in them. Sort of stand on them, not in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it takes a lot of energy to resist what you're feeling and thinking. It takes a lot of energy. And when we're in these strange situations like lockdown, we don't really have a lot of extra energy, I think, and so any energy we can create or free up, if you like,
Yeah.
I think it's really valuable. And I think
I
that's
found
what
some
this,
programs.
yeah, that's what this process can do, is actually free up energy that you're perhaps unknowingly putting into resistance of what's happening.
Yeah, we often say it shouldn't be like this, don't we? Well, if it is, it is. What's not much point saying shouldn't be, like
Yeah.
the sooner we let go of that, the energy, like you say, it just comes up because
Yeah.
all that kind of fighting is just let go. That's
Yeah. And I think a lot of us are trained to speak to ourselves in not very nice ways. I know that's the case for me. Sometimes it's quite horrifying being inside my head. I think, my God, you would never talk to anybody like that. Never. Well,
yeah, it's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so true, so true. I really like that. I think that'll be really practical for people. I'll maybe talk with you back to and maybe just write down what it is in the email so that they can follow you through with that too, but just some people might want to also just something to carry with them or
yeah,
do it
there's
anywhere.
definitely a more expanded version for the sort of formal sitting. Well,
Would you be teaching that or maybe in the future?
we don't do it or anything, but
Would you be
you
doing
know what I mean.
classes? Sorry, Beck.
Sorry, no, I was just waffling. Oh, look, once I get, even more familiar with the practice and learn about it more, I would love to offer this. Yeah, because I just believe that I know from my own experience how much it's helped me.
Yeah.
In really practical ways where I'm able to, within 10 minutes, move out of an emotional storm inside myself and be present for my child who's having a meltdown. It's pretty hard to be present for someone else who's having a meltdown when you're having your own meltdown.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's so critical to take care of yourself first so that you can then,
But we're not, when we hear about the whole oxygen mask thing, put your own on first, but so many of us don't do that. And we're just programmed, I think, to look after other people first. And I
particularly
think
mums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is when you can literally shut the toilet door and go, right.
That's why I said lock it, make sure nobody can get in. Oh my goodness. No animals, no kids, no husbands, no anybody.
Yeah. And I think too, if someone is on their own as well, feeling that presence of support, that energy of support, in those moments potentially where you're feeling very alone, calling on and visualizing someone who you love or someone who you feel close to, and it may be someone who's passed, it may be, for people it may be your guardian angel, whatever works for you. That working through that process of acknowledgement is really powerful, because so often we just try and soldier on.
Yeah, I was talking with was it Kamina the other day, and she was saying something like that too. We're taught to suck it up, when things get tough, just don't complain, carry on. Whereas actually that's really not good advice at all. It's not helpful.
And I think something like this can gently almost, it can reprogram,
Well, your brain's very capable of creating new pathways. So we just need to, that's what practice is about. That's why the importance of consistency, repetition. And it's not about doing something once, it's about, keep doing it all the time, get used to it, get used to it, get used to it. And then it'll become second nature when you really need to use it. But it'll also just keep you in a constant state of, where you're more regulated, so to speak.
And you don't have to have a meditation practice to do this. You can do this pretty much anywhere, anytime. Probably not when you're driving. I'm not sure that would work.
You could
I don't
still,
know.
when you're driving though, you could still definitely at least do the, you know, recognize where you are, what's happening. That's definitely something that I think is good to do all the time. If we could live in that state of recognizing where we are and accepting and acknowledging that, we would be a long way towards the practice of living a life that's actually, wonderful, because we're really just managing that moment.
And, you know, I have also noticed how much more compassionate I've been with the people that I'm sharing this home with, you know, because I'm finding that as I offer myself those nourishing moments, those nurturing moments, I'm finding that I'm more able to do that for others, genuinely.
Yep, absolutely. You know? I mean, I think that's totally true. Everything we do for ourselves, it just automatically influences everyone around us positively. So that's why self-care is not selfish. You know, it's actually, you're actually caring for everybody else when you're doing it. So in fact, I really, really appreciate that practice. I enjoyed it myself. I really did. And I think people are going to really enjoy practicing along with this, and then also bringing it into their day-to-day life. So I'm wishing you all the best for getting your kids back to school.
Thank you. Yeah,
and
it's been really nice to connect with you.
It's been wonderful, and we will see each other in person soon.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks again, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.